Once upon a time, wealth was heavy. It clinked, it shined, it had weight in the hand and meaning in the world. Then one day, kings and merchants realized something extraordinary. They could replace gold with promises. A slip of paper, signed and sealed, became as powerful as the metal it once represented. And just like that, the illusion was born. The world began to trade not in gold, but in faith, the belief that a symbol was as good as the substance. It was the greatest magic trick in human history, turning paper into power, and power into obedience.
Paper began as a promise, but in the hands of kings and bankers, it became a throne. In 1694, the Bank of England was born, not as a bank for the people, but as a bank for the crown. Gold flowed in, paper flowed out. And with every note issued, power shifted from metal to ink. The idea spread like wildfire. France, Holland, America, each learned the same secret. Control the money, and you control the empire. By the 20th century, the paper was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by belief. Central banks became the new monarchs, their printing presses the new armies, and the world kneeled before paper.
Once paper became money, debt became the empire's heartbeat. Nations no longer fought over gold mines, they fought over credit. Every war, every reconstruction, every empire since the 18th century, financed not by treasure, but by promises. The British Empire ran on bonds. The American century was built on IOUs. The more paper they printed, the stronger they became, until the illusion required infinite belief. Debt was no longer a burden, it was the engine. Governments discovered they could spend what they didn't have and charge the future for it. The people became collateral. Taxes became interest payments, and freedom became a line item on the balance sheet.
Every financial system is built on a secret. Not gold, not debt, but faith. Faith that paper has value. Faith that banks are solvent. Faith that governments can pay what they owe. Without that belief, everything collapses in an instant. This is the invisible currency, the one you can't print, can't tax, can't forge, only lose. Central banks defend it with words. Politicians defend it with lies. Markets defend it with illusion. But faith is fragile. It breaks slowly, then all at once. When confidence dies, money dies with it. And the empire built on faith becomes a house of paper in the wind.
Every empire builds a machine to feed itself, but the debt machine is different. It feeds on the future until there is nothing left to consume. At first, debt looks harmless. It funds roads, schools, wars. But like all addictions, it demands more. Interest becomes tribute. Deficits become destiny. Every empire discovers the same formula: borrow to grow, print to pay, and lie to survive. The Romans clipped their coins. The British sold bonds. The Americans printed trillions. Different tools, same disease. Debt makes nations look rich,
until they drown in their own currency. The collapse never begins with poverty. It begins with excess. And when the machine breaks, it takes everything with it.
When money dies, society follows. History has seen it again and again. Rome, Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela. Each time, the pattern is the same. Currency collapses, and with it, trust. Markets freeze, stores empty, armies vanish. People turn on one another for bread, for warmth, for survival. The middle class, once the empire's backbone, becomes its first casualty. Wealth evaporates, contracts mean nothing, and the only currency left is fear. Money is not just paper. It is the invisible glue that holds civilization together. When that glue dissolves, the collapse isn't just economic, it's moral. The fall doesn't happen in the markets. It happens in the hearts of men.
After every collapse, there is silence. Then, rebuilding begins. The ruins of empires become the seeds of new civilizations. From Rome's ashes rose Byzantium. From the Great Depression came the American century. Collapse is not the end. It is the clearing of illusions. When money loses meaning, people rediscover value. Gold, land, skill, trust, things that cannot be printed. Families rebuild from nothing. Communities trade again. Knowledge becomes currency. And slowly, quietly, faith returns. The cycle always renews, not because men forget, but because hope refuses to die.
Every civilization tells itself the same story. That this time is different. That the rules of history no longer apply. But gold remembers. Paper forgets. Empires rise on promises and fall on debts. The illusion of wealth is always stronger than the truth of value. Until it isn't. One day, the paper burns. The screens go dark. And what remains is what always endures. Skill, land, trust, and memory. The lesson is not despair. It is awareness. Because if you understand the cycle, you can rise above it. History doesn't repeat, it whispers. And those who listen write the next chapter.